Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Tarloke and I love to talk to people, and I have a new series called Tarloke Talks, and today I'm talking with Georgina Hill-Brown, who is the Honest Vocal Coach. I hope you enjoy. Leave a copy, if you could please leave a comment and like and subscribe. That would be great. Thank you.
Oh, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
So I've got myself set up in your honour. I went to the shop and bought myself a new mug.
Oh, very good. I've got my cup of tea here.
I know you love your cups of tea, so I thought I'd get one myself. Yorkshire tea, of course.
Yeah, got my cup of tea all set.
And I've got a fire in the background. Obviously not a real one, but you know.
Oh, I've got a gas fire to my left. Again, it's not a real one, but it's still keeping me cozy today.
Yeah. Thought I'd start the festivities. It's the 1st of December, so trying to get into the mood. Even got my Christmas jumper on as well. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't got that far just yet.
No. Well, you probably know nothing about me. Obviously, I've seen a lot of your videos, but I love music and I'm on YouTube a lot. And a few months ago, I think I must have been watching a load of Kylie videos or something, and something popped up in suggestions, the Honest Vocal Coach, and I thought I'll click on it and see what it's like, because you never know with YouTube. You know, there's a lot of different, opinions and different kinds of people, and I instantly I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I think it's what I find great about your videos is you do your critiques, but you're really nice with it as well, and you're really honest. Obviously, being the Honest Vocal Coach, you're not harsh. I've been in a choir before as well, and I had some rough experiences. So when I saw Vocal Coach, I was thinking, let keep an open mind, because my one was quite tough. You'd say things like, "Tarloke, you look like death," and then just proper, ruined your confidence kind of thing. But yeah, I really enjoy your videos, and I like your vlogs. I've seen some of your vlogs too, so I thought, why not have a chat over a cuppa with Georgina?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, so like I said, I've watched a bunch of videos. I've spent half the day watching some of your videos too. I had them all sort of lined up, so I wanted to get a variety of things. And I've watched a lot of your vlogs as well, in your car, spilling, stuff all over your top, and, see that one. Your usual haunt is obviously Costa Coffee, the drive-through. So yeah, I thought it'd be nice to have a chat. And I know you've just recently done an interview with I can't remember his name, something Gemfrey. He does yeah, I thought beautiful voice. So but yeah, I just wanted to chat to you, find out where you come from, your history, like your childhood, and obviously there's the inevitable things that I found online, which we won't go too much into, but we'll have a chat. But I just wanted to know, starting from right from the beginning, did you know when you were young? I was about to say, let's dive right in, but that's your thing. But yeah, when you were young, as a child, did you sort of have an interest in music or performing? I'm trying to imagine you sort of running around the house singing all day.
Oh, no, I wasn't into music or, anything to do with acting or singing at all when I was little. I did dance as a child. Yeah. But it wasn't really something that I focused on in school. When I got to high school, I didn't take music or drama as options because it was very old-fashioned at the school that I went to. And it was only when not my drama teacher, but the drama teacher heard me sing in a corridor once and said, actually, you can sing. Why haven't you taken music or arts or anything? And I just started to get involved a little bit in the school plays from that point onwards, really.
Yeah. What sort of productions were you sort of more into musical theatre, or was it just anything?
Well, the stuff that the school put on was very much based around the students, so they wrote it. So we had one show that was called The Wiz, not like The Wiz as in The Wizard of Oz, but our version was, it was supposed to be a computer game, and the kids went into this computer game. but yeah, we wrote a lot of it ourselves.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really any well-known shows that you would recognise at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was only when a group of technical people, like sound men and lighting men, came into the school to do an event,
Yeah.
that I started to get the bug and thought, this is rather good. I quite like this. And then I started to join a lot more of the shows. I did shows that you would recognise with amateur groups. I was in the Sound of Music, Oklahoma, several other musicals.
Wow.
I started working backstage with this team of guys that I'd met, doing pantomimes and things. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. And I went to Performing Arts College. So it was all quite a quick decision, really, in the last sort of year of high school. Because my parents thought I was going to be a teacher. And they sent me to, you know, business studies and education and all of that kind of thing. And weirdly, it's kind of come back round and I've ended up as a teacher anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, originally I was going to be a teacher, but more business minded. But I ended up as a performer instead.
So was performing your first love, or were you always thinking about maybe I'll teach? And I know you mentioned you thought about becoming a teacher. Was performing love? Or...
Not really. Teaching wasn't in my head at all at that point. I just wanted to be a dancer and perform and be in musicals. So I spent a lot of time training. I trained in the day and then worked in theatres backstage in the evenings to just sort of get used to the whole process, not just being on the stage, being behind the scenes as well.
Yeah.
But still at that point, I had no idea I was going to be a teacher. I just wanted to be a performer at that point.
What was the your first performance? Do you remember how that felt? Like what was going through your mind, and you know, was it lots of nerves or?
I don't think I was very nervous at that stage. Not that I was cocky or anything like that, but it was a small school production, so there wasn't an awful lot of audience. It was just sort of friends and family of the people that were in the show. So I wasn't really nervous at that point, because I wasn't even taking performing seriously, really. Someone said you can sing a bit. I was like, all right, let's give it a go. So I just enjoyed doing it. I wouldn't say I was particularly nervous or anything to begin with, though. That only developed as I started to train and realise how important it was to me and how good I wanted to be. That's when the nerves started to come in.
Yeah. I remember my first play. I wrote a play with a friend. It was for drama class, and there were only two of us, and it was a very small room. Everyone sort of sitting around watching, and I remember my knees knocking. I was like, I can't do this. It was a rubbish play. I mean, it was at age 13, 14, fascinated with horror films, and I wrote a play about a serial killer who works in a cafe. It was the most bizarre thing, but I just remember my knees knocking, and I thought, I'm going to collapse. But then when I actually did it, it was a lot of fun. Like I think the adrenaline sort of kicked in, and I thought, okay, I'm doing this. Let's carry on. And eventually, I didn't even notice the people sitting there. You know, you just kind of get in your zone, and you know, and get into the performance. I guess. I can't, I'm not an actor or anything like that, but it was a lot of fun. You know, I had similar experiences. I don't know what how you felt when you did your first musical performance, but when I was part of a choir, we prepped for Christmas, so we were singing Christmas carols for literally for 2-3 months. Imagine how fun that was. By December, and we did an outdoor concert. I don't know if you've ever been to Liverpool, but there's a big outdoor shopping centre called Liverpool One, and we did it there, standing there, and again it was like knees knocking, but then it just stopped. Looking at people, just sort of carried on and just did my own thing.
Yeah.
Lots of fun. I grew to hate Christmas carols at that point, though. But that's a.
So whereabouts are you based now, then?
Well, I'm from Bedfordshire. I like to say Bedfordshire because it sounds posh. I come from a shire, but I live in Liverpool now.
So why did you move to Liverpool? I'm so nosy.
No, this is, I want this to be like a chat, just like a chat over a cup of tea, so you can ask me things too if you want, so that's absolutely fine. But I came up in 2004 for university, studied at Liverpool Hope University, and then I kind of just stuck around for a little bit until about 2010. I decided I think I thought I missed my family. I'm going to go back home now. But then when I got home, I realised I didn't actually miss them that much, and I wanted to go back. So I kind of stuck around for about a year and a half, and then came back to Liverpool, and I've been here ever since. And it's lovely. If you've never visited, when the pandemic's over, I know you're sort of shielding a little bit. It's a wonderful, wonderful place.
Oh, I've been to Liverpool many times. I'm a huge fan. I actually came early this year.
Oh yeah.
Just before lockdown. I did a little, I called it the Honest Tour, where I went to Park Street Studios, a studio that I know of already.
Yeah.
I did a TV show there many years ago, so I kind of knew people. So I recorded Blackbird, because I thought, you know, what else should you record when you're in Liverpool? You should definitely do some the Beatles. So I did that, and I sort of spent a day just wandering around, going to Albert Dock, the Beatles Museum, stuff like that. So yeah, I've been to Liverpool many times, but that day was so nice because I was on my own that day. And I just went to the studio, had a bit of a sing-song, and just wandered around, and it was very nice. I enjoyed going right to the end of the dock as well and watching the ferries come in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Liverpool is a fabulous place.
It's wonderful. I remember when I told people I was coming up here for university, that just the look of horror on their faces, like, Liverpool, gosh, it was nice knowing you, and I was thinking, I'm not going up there to die. I'm just going to university. But people were acting like they're never going to see me again. Thought like it's Liverpool, but I think that's the north-south kind of, you know, divide coming in. But when I got here, it felt like home. People generally are quite, you know, friendly and nice, and say thank you if you hold the door open, and things like that. And there's a lot I should work for the tourist board or something. I'm like,
yeah, you should. You're selling it really well.
Big Liverpool, but yeah, it's lovely by the docks. I don't know if you saw the section where they've got padlocks. You know, all those padlocks.
Yeah.
And just to stand there and just look, and just to hear the waves crashing, and it's just, yeah, it's very peaceful out there, especially at night time. But yeah, there's deep history here. It kind of made me laugh at first because when I came here, I just thought this is just a city, this is just another place. And I'd see the magical mystery buses, you know, the tours going up and down, and I thought, why are they going down any lane? It's just a street with a Londis on it, you know. Yeah. The street. But then obviously you got to know more about the history, and obviously the music and the Beatles. I think Paul McCartney did a carpool karaoke thing.
He did, yeah, I saw that. It was excellent. It was really nice to go and see him, you know, go to the old pubs and his old house and things like that. I thought it was excellent.
Absolutely love it. You come from, is it Pontefract?
Yeah, born in Pontefract Hospital. So I sort of grew up there. Then I moved to Manchester when I was 19 to carry on studying. It was technically Oldham that I moved to first. Yeah. Then I moved to Manchester. I was there for 10 years. Yeah. Then moved back to Yorkshire for parents really had not very well parents, so I wanted to be closer. Plus I wanted a better schooling for my kids. Not that schooling's bad in Manchester, sorry anybody from Manchester, but I came from a small place where there was literally one school, and that's where you all went. And whereas Manchester, you had so much choice, and it was a lot more competitive. And I just wanted to give my kids the same sort of options that I had. Plus, my parents were ill, and I didn't want to miss that time that we had with them. So I moved back again. So I've been in Yorkshire since then.
You've been about a bit, but
yes, yeah.
But yeah, Pontefract, is that the Pontefract cakes? Is that where that comes from?
Yeah, we've got the Haribo factory where the licorice is made, and there's also Tangerine, which is like Haribo factory, but they also make sweets.
Oh gosh, let's not get talking about sweets. I'm trying to be good for a little while until Christmas, because I've been known to cane the mince pies on Christmas Day, so I'm going to try and be good until then.
Oh. But it's got a castle as well. We've got our own castle in Pontefract, I wouldn't say there's an awful lot left of it, but there's quite a lot of history to the area.
Okay. So you've obviously got a massive amount of industry knowledge. So you started teaching around about 2003. You're also the founder, one of the founders of Vocal Tutor.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sorry, I just saw flashing outside. I thought that was lightning for a second. I'm not a big fan. See, explain what you do at your studio, or well, home studio now.
Oh,
What do
right.
you do there?
Well, going back to what you mentioned about Vocal Tutor, yeah, that was my first business. I ran that for 11 years, and it was a network of singing teachers all over the UK. I developed the website and wrote the book and created vocal exercises and all of that. And all the teachers all over the UK would use my resources. And I did that for 11 years. But unfortunately, by the end of it, it was just admin. All I was doing was admin, staring at a computer every day, doing a lot less teaching. So I sold that and I moved into my last studio, the New Founders Studios, which ran for, just closed, so it was about 7 years. And the studio had a recording studio, it had teaching spaces, it also had a rehearsal room. And then this year, because of COVID and not being able to teach face to face, I've closed the studio and now I teach from home. But because my teaching is Skype and Zoom based, I can pretty much teach anywhere. So hopefully next year when COVID changes, hopefully everything gets a bit better, I can travel and teach from wherever I am.
You got some, I noticed on your website you got a Black Friday offer.
Oh yeah, aren't you good? Yes, I have. I've got a Black Friday offer at the moment where you can have 2 sessions per month. So it's like every other week for 30 minutes where I will teach you everything that you need to know about your own voice, help you discover what your capabilities are, give you really good routines for development, and hopefully develop some confidence as well. So yeah, that's an offer at the moment that's on my, mainly the links are underneath my videos on YouTube, but you can get them via website as well.
So what sort of technique do you teach? Is it SLS? Is it a speech level?
Well, I'm actually trained in a lot of different techniques. I've studied SLS, but I never qualified. Not because I wasn't good enough, because once you qualify, that's all you were allowed to teach. So you couldn't teach any other techniques. So that's why I didn't qualify. So I've studied, bel canto, classical teaching, singing, musical theatre coaching. So loads and loads of different techniques with many different teachers all over the world. Brett Manning, Robert Lunt. I could go on for days about the teachers that I've worked with over the years.
I know, I've seen the list.
So I have my own sort of way of teaching now and specific techniques that I use. It's almost like a toolbox. Think of it as all my techniques in this toolbox. And then when a student comes to me, I find out what's wrong, what's right, and then I use whichever techniques that's going to be appropriate for that issue, and then work on those parts of their voice.
Somebody just asked, why does SLS limit your teaching options?
Well, SLS isn't a thing anymore. It actually broke down quite a few years ago. All of the people that started it, I heard there was a bit of a row and it all went a bit pear-shaped. So the actual technique of speech level singing no longer exists, but the teachers that started it have all gone off and developed their own versions of it now. I know Seth Riggs, who was the main guy that developed it, he's still teaching, but he's really old now. He's taught Michael Jackson and Paula Abdul and numerous different people. And he had a team of others that sort of worked with him, and they've all gone off to do their own thing. John Henney, Brett Manning, Joey Still. That's quite a famous teaching technique now, but it's based on speech level singing.
I remember when I was in choir, I had the set of Seth Riggs CDs, singing with the stars or that. I remember because choir normally, you know, if you're in a church choir, it's a bit of fun. You know, some people just treat it as a bit of fun, and they'll just sort of learn the words turn up on the Sunday. But I took it very seriously, so I had these CDs. So I was doing the exercises every single day, literally 7 days a week for about an hour a day. And I remember having singing lessons. I had a couple of singing lessons that the teacher taught in this style. He was much nicer when we were one-to-one, not in front of anybody else. And we'll go through the little exercises. And he said, your range is about 2.5 octaves. And I thought, is that good? I'm guessing it is. But I just loved being able to get in my car when I was doing this, because I got my voice up to a certain level, and I was able to sing a bit of Mariah, but obviously not the whistle, because I think I need a special operation for that.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it's lots of fun. What somebody said, what was your most memorable performance, or you know, what do you remember the most from your singing? That or your stage, maybe it's your stage was your most memorable performance, or singing, you know.
I'm trying to think, because I've had that many performances over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say, I think one of the most memorable shows that I ever did was a Motown show. I actually produced it myself, and it was with my students. We had a live band. We did it at the Lowry in Salford Keys. It was fairly early on when it had just opened, so it was a bit of a, you know, exciting thing to be able to go to that theatre. And just having that live band, it was such a fantastic atmosphere, and I love Motown music, so it was just brilliant. I loved it. Big fan of Motown, so I think that's probably one of my sort of favourite performance opportunities.
What's your favourite Motown song? Do you have? I know there are many.
Oh.
Or group. Let's pick a group then.
Well, I'd say Diana Ross and the Supremes.
Yes.
Stevie Wonder, absolutely. Jackson 5.
Oh.
But I love I'm Coming Out, the Diana Ross song. I love what it says about the LGBT community, and I also love the fact that, because it kind of gets used for that now, and it's always brilliant at the beginning of a show. That's what we used it for. The very first singer sang off stage, and as the music kicked in, they sort of sang off stage for a little while and then come on to the audience, and it's fabulous. Love that song.
VH1 actually did a very annoying.
That's all right. You were just saying VH1?
I remember VH1 did a special on Diana Ross. I don't know if you remember that. It's from about almost 20 years ago. And they had other artists singing her songs, and they actually did I'm Coming Out, but it was RuPaul that did it.
I've not seen that. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it was ever, because normally they'd release them on DVD, but I don't think they didn't release this one. I think it's because maybe Diana was unhappy with how it came out. It wasn't the best, you know, vocally from her. But you know, had Mariah Carey singing, you know, Baby Love, and you know, it was so good. But yeah, I grew up with Motown. We were still, well, I was born in '78. I'm a little old now.
I'm 76, so we're not that far off.
But yeah, we've come through the same sort of eras, you know, of music. So we're still in the '80s. We still had the tail end of Motown, and then obviously Diana Ross had a solo career. But it's, for me, it was one of the '70s and '80s. For me, I think was probably one of the best eras in music. But maybe you have a different opinion. Like, do you have a favorite sort of era? You know.
Oh, now you're in. I love the '60s. I adore the music from the '60s.
Yeah.
But I do think the whole new romantic era of the '80s. I'm a big fan of that as well. But yeah, '60s I think would be my favourite era if I had to choose.
Yeah, mine's definitely the '80s, because you've got people like Cyndi Lauper, and you know, I'd like Belinda Carlisle, the Go-Go's, you know, like C and Adam Ant, and all of that. Absolutely love the 80s. But then for me now, I don't know if you have an opinion on this. Like, I used to follow the charts. I used to, when I was little, I used to sit there with a tape recorder and record my favourite song on a cassette tape.
Yeah, me too.
I think you've gone a bit dark, but
Oh, I can move so we've got a bit more light if you want. Bear with. Oh, just get up. I'm sat on the floor.
oh,
I was sat on the floor near the fireplace to keep myself nice
you
and warm.
old.
Ah, is that any better? Let's get this light over here. There we go.
There you are. I forgot what we were talking about now. What was I talking about?
Oh, the 80s and the people that you admire from the 80s.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I don't know if you have an opinion on this, but you know, I used to love the charts. I used to sit there every Sunday recording my favourite song onto cassette, and I even had a videotape of the music videos that I'd record off of the chart show every Saturday. But to me, the charts now have become unrecognisable. I don't know if that's me. I guess because of the firstly they put downloads in, which I thought, oh, okay, that's fine because you know people are buying the music. But now there's like airplay, streaming, and all of that. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, it's completely different now. So you've got the way that people stream on Spotify and Apple Music and all of that. It's crazy because, like, this week you've got Mariah Carey, who's in the top 10 for All I Want for Christmas Is You. And it's like, this song was released so many years ago, but because it's a song that we adore and it's Christmas time, it just comes straight back out again. So the way that the charts work now is so very different. It's just random how old songs can just suddenly appear again if they've been on an advert, for example. People start streaming it again, so it just comes back up the charts. It's a very unusual way of doing things compared to what we used to do. And I kind of miss that physical CD in your hand or the album in your hand. But I know there's a lot of people who still like to do that anyway. Even if they don't actually listen to the music on the CD, they still want to have it as an actual hard copy.
Well, vinyl's making a comeback, or have made a comeback. I think sales are going up every single year because, like you said, people like to have that physical kind of copy of something. I used to love that. I remember, and don't laugh at me when I tell you this. When I was, I think it was either 13 or 14, I'd saved up my paper round money and I went to queue at our price in Bedford Town Centre for the new Danny Minogue album.
Oh,
I love that.
Well, if I'm going to be, you know, if you just put yourself out there, I should put mine out as well. My very first vinyl was Do the Bartman by Bart Simpson.
Oh, okay.
That was my very first vinyl. And my very first tape, we're talking a number of years ago, was 5 Star. If you remember 5 Star, I bought their tape. I did get cooler after that. But that was like my first pocket money, you know, when you go to Woolworths and, you know, what am I going to buy? So, yeah, it's not the coolest music choices to put out there. But, yeah, those were the first ones I bought.
In my hometown, there's hardly anywhere that you can buy a physical, you know, CD or what have you, because you know, I guess obviously it's gone to downloads and streaming and stuff. You know, I used to go to, there used to be so many record places or places that sold records, you know, like Woolworths. Obviously, I'd go there for the pick and mix as well because that was amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Woolworths was known for it, and then that closed, and then we had Andy's Records, and that closed. We had Our Price, and that closed, and you know, now you can buy them in supermarkets now, I guess. So, you know, just not the traditional way that I remember from my childhood. But yes, we've got to move with the times. But I tend to only look at sales charts now, because you've got say there's a new release from Kylie Minogue or something. Her latest song got to #2 based on sales, but in the real chart it got to number something like 63, which is just crazy. And same with Steps, like their latest song, What the Future Holds, which I know you reviewed, and then you reviewed it with your daughter as well, which we're going to talk about because I enjoyed that. That didn't even chart, I don't think.
No, it's so strange.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It
Yeah.
really is. And Steps are doing so incredibly well this year.
Yeah.
And, you know, I watched their Instagram this morning. I think it was Ian, was showing them signing all of the vinyls and how many hundreds and hundreds, thousands of vinyls they were signing. Yet
Yeah.
it doesn't even chart. And it's like, how is this? I don't understand.
I went to their concert a couple of years ago. It was so good. Because I remember liking Steps as a teenager in my late teens, and I never got a chance to go to one of their concerts. And I thought, like, Steps are coming, I have to go and see it. And it was the most fun. They had Venga Boys as their support act.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So kind of took me back a little bit. So yeah, I love those kind of. We don't really have groups like that anymore. Not in the pop era. It was those mixed groups. Because you had Steps, you had Juice, and all of that. But yeah, Steps are so entertaining. And what surprised me was, Lisa was never my favorite, but her vocals like stood out. I think she's worked a lot on her vocals over the years. So strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we'll go on to Steps in a minute. So obviously you created your studio in 2013, and then obviously you had your YouTube page. When you started your YouTube page, what was your intention with doing that? What did you want to achieve? Anything? Was it just?
Oh, well, the reason I started a YouTube channel was for the studio, so that whenever anyone came to record or film at the studio, that's where the video would go.
Oh, okay.
So that's what it was for 5 years. And then I had this brainwave of reacting to a student of mine who had actually recorded at my studio, who had gone off. She'd done America's Got Talent. She got the Golden Buzzer. So I reacted to her performance, and the numbers just started to tick and tick. I'm thinking, oh, this could be a thing. So I spent some time researching as best I could other online vocal coaches to see how they were doing things. And that's when I first started doing, you know, some reactions, really. Because I didn't want it to be just, ooh, oh, this is amazing kind of reactions. I wanted to be truly educational, where I'll break down the voice and I'll analyse it so I can teach people that way.
Right. Yeah, I've seen reactions to not just music but other things as well, where it's a little bit, what do they say, messy?
Yeah. There's no educational side to it. It's just them going, ooh, ah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
so okay, that's not really describing anything. Like watching a fireworks display, really. I didn't want that.
Yeah, so you didn't want to just criticise, you wanted to educate and inform people as well.
Yeah.
And I remember you, with your reactions, I know you did an interview, which I saw on YouTube with Victoria Derbyshire.
Yes, yeah.
And I saw that performance. I don't really watch Eurovision. I kind of look at the just the UK performance, and then wait for the results.
Yeah.
And some of the I don't want to sound shady, but some of the acts that go on there are pretty interesting. You know, performance, vocally, and what have you. But I remember seeing that performance, and it's one of those things. Maybe it being over dramatic, is one of those things where you kind of hide your face behind a pillow and scream, and you know, just hope for it to be over. I remember Madonna in her heyday, and she's never had the best voice. I don't think, but I think she had with her team maximised what she could do along with her performance, because she's an amazing performer.
Yeah.
Most of the time. But I thought, I was listening to the vocal and I thought, oh no. So I didn't know what was going on. And then I saw your your interview, and I thought that is dead on. Like, I was cringing with it when I watched it. It was just, ooh. But
yeah, I think it's numerous issues. I don't think she was in, how can I put this? I'm trying to do it in a nice way. I think maybe she had a few to drink before she went on stage.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm only saying that because when she was singing, everything seemed to be a little bit delayed, as if her reactions weren't as quick. So I think the fact that the autotune wasn't quite right, instead of being able to correct herself, she wasn't able to do it fast enough. So yeah, I think the autotune was probably set incorrectly. So
Right.
I know, you know, your average singer would normally be able to hear that, pick up on that, and sort of adjust themselves, but she just couldn't do it. She
I
just couldn't put herself back into tune, and it was just, oh dear.
Yeah. What affects the voice? Like, what different things can affect the voice? Obviously, you mentioned drink. What else affects it?
Well, obviously, drugs of most kinds will affect the voice. Smoking does quite a lot because it dries out the vocal folds. It gives you less lung capacity to sing with. It's very drying. Also, things like excessive dairy products, so um, cheese, chocolate, milk, butter, they're all quite heavily fatty, so
Mm.
that can turn into mucus in the throat, making you a bit, meaning
Yeah.
the vocal folds stick to. Think of it as like oil. You want oil in your car, but you want it to be fairly thin and runny. You
Right.
don't want it to be lumpy and sticky, because then the voice is just not going to work very well. So being aware of the amount of dairy intake you have is good. One other thing is fizzy pop. Try and avoid that as much as you can as a singer, because it's, even the ones with sugar replacements in them, there's still a lot of sugar in there and drying effects.
Mm-hmm.
So it dries you out, which is no good if you don't have that natural mucus there, because
Yeah.
the vocal folds will become very dry and you won't be able to sing that well.
We were always told room temperature water only, and take little sips, little sips.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Because if you
Mm.
drink cold water, it's like a dancer. You spend half an hour warming up the body, and
Yeah.
then like putting just ice on it to cool it down again. So yeah, you should have room temperature water rather than cool. I mean, I used to have a fridge at my studio where it was cold, but not as cold as your average fridge, because it's nice and refreshing to have that cool when you're
Yeah.
drinking, but you don't want it to be that cold that it actually affects your vocal folds and your larynx.
And things like age and weight as well. Can that affect your vocals too?
It can, yeah. Weight, for example, I spoke a lot about Adele recently because she performed for the first time in a while, and her voice definitely sounded different. Now, I had a lot of, I don't know what you call it, but a lot of people saying, no, don't be ridiculous. She doesn't sound any different. She's the same as she was before. But no, she is different because it's about resonation. If you have more face and more flesh,
Mm-hmm.
that sound is going to vibrate in that to create a particular tone. So if you get rid of that flesh and extra wobble, so to speak, the sound is going to sound more hollow because there isn't as much wobble. You know,
Yeah.
think of it about changing your speaker. If you have a small speaker, it's going to sound a certain way. A big speaker is going to sound a different way. So it's about changing your speaker slightly will make the sound change just a little. And in Adele's case, her voice sounds slightly harder, not as warm, because she doesn't have as much to vibrate, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It always sounded. I don't know if you'd agree with this, but before, I mean, her career, she's obviously weighed a lot more. But for me, when she sang before, I was always worried about her in her voice.
Yeah,
You
her
know?
technique isn't always the best.
Mm-hmm.
She's a singer that it's about the song. It's always been about the song first. So as she became a singer, so she could sing her own songs, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And she does have okay technique, but she's one of those singers that gets involved a lot with her performance. The emotion takes over. Sometimes the technique goes to pieces, and you over push now and again. There's a video I reacted to on my channel today, actually. It's about singers singing out of tune.
Yeah, I saw that. I watched
Yeah,
it.
and I talk a lot about this on that video, where the adrenaline kicks in when you're on stage and you're buzzing. You're like, whoa, this audience have come to see me. This is amazing. And you want to please, so you go all out. But sometimes when you go all out, you're over pushing that little bit. You might be forcing the larynx. You might trying to be louder than the band that's behind you. And that's when you can tire yourself out. So you often have to make sure that your inner ears are working so you can hear yourself properly, and just step back from that adrenaline, because when it kicks in, you're just like, yeah. And sometimes it can hurt your voice. You just go too far, but you don't realize you're doing it because you're in the moment.
Yeah, I remember, if you can give a bit of advice to people singing in groups, because I remember when I was very new to singing when I joined the choir, but we'd sing in threes. Sometimes it was alto, tenor, soprano, but sometimes it was three tenors, in our different sections. And I would sometimes get distracted by somebody if they went off key. And I'm not saying I didn't, but what would be your advice for that? Like, when you're singing in a group, to not get affected by other people, how do you do that? Or is it just like with practice?
Yeah, the main thing is practice, because I've been in those situations as well, where I've been in a large choir, a group of people, and you've got your four parts, your bass, baritone, etc., and you can get drawn into what they're singing. So you've got to really focus on think of it as your lead line. Even though you might have the harmony, this is my part and this is what I need to stick with. So sometimes you have to zone them out in such a way that you focus on your notes. But it is a thing that you have to do with practice. I mean, I was lucky when I went to college, because I had a loud voice. They used to, if there was a quiet section in a choir, like in the group, they'd go, right, you do that today, do that harmony there, so we can boost that area. And then maybe another day, an alto singer would be missing, and they go, right, join that bit, sing that through. So I was quite flexible. I was quite lucky in that way that I could kind of turn it on and go, right, I'm on this harmony today, let's go. But yeah, I do know how tricky it can be when they're right next to you and you're suddenly singing the same as them, and you're like, no, back to yours.
What if you can't hear anything? That's another thing. I remember we used to do few services. It was at church, and on the very first one they were just think of the one of each, or two of each, so two altos, two tenors, two sopranos. And we weren't that sophisticated. We didn't have earpieces, so we couldn't hear anything. And I was like, I can't hear these people singing. I can't hear myself singing. I think I'm singing in the right key,
Yeah, that's where muscle memory comes in. Just like any sport, you do the same thing over and over. You build strength in that, and you build memory. So you kind of know if it doesn't feel right, you're most likely singing out of tune. You're not singing it in the right place. So it is very much about feel. And I still do it now with students, is I get them to put their hands here and sing, so that they can't really hear themselves that well. So they have to focus on how it feels rather than what they're hearing as much.
Yeah. So I used to sing quite nasally. And my teacher said, imagine a golf ball, you're swallowing a golf ball. Is that something that you would suggest, or what would you suggest if you, obviously there may be physical kind of things that are making you sound nasally, so you might not be able to help it, but how do you stop singing nasally?
I wouldn't say golf ball, but they are on the right lines. It's all about where the sound is placed and resonates. And if you allow it to resonate too high, you're going to get too much of that vibration in the nose. So what I would do is advise people to work on jaw relaxation, so that it's not tight, and flattening the tongue in almost like a bowl shape, so the sound can move around in a circle. Because if the tongue is flat or up at all, the sound is then, for example, ah. If I lift the tongue, ah, at the back, the sound just flips. So the tongue has to be flat in a bowl shape, so the sound move, and you're going to sound a lot less nasal. Neti pot is also a great thing for nasal singers. It's an American invention. It's like a gravy boat.
Okay.
You put lukewarm water in it, distilled water, with a tiny bit of very, very fine salt. You pour it up one nostril. I know this sounds gross. And it then bathes the nasal cavities inside here, and then comes out of the other nostril, and then you blow it out. It's pretty gross, but you'd be surprised how much pollen and dust and things like that go up to this point here in the nasal cavity that you can't get. You can blow your nose as much as you want, you're not always going to clear that area. So the neti pot gives it a right good wash out, and it helps with nasality as well.
Yeah. So onto YouTube. So you got a lot of reactions. You've been doing it for a little while. I guess when you started, it was obviously, you said it's your studio. Then your notoriety sort of grew.
Yeah.
Maybe after the Ariana, is it Rain on Me or something like that you'd reacted to. So your followers started to go up. I think you're now at 164,000 followers on YouTube.
Yes, I hit 100.
Isn't that amazing?
Yesterday, it's brilliant. I'm so pleased with that. I'm aiming for 200. That's what I'm going for at the minute.
Do you get another plaque at 200?
Yes, hopefully. Yeah, it took a while to get the first one, but yeah.
Is it even jazzier than the first one, or don't you know?
Oh, it's just the same. The 100,000 ones are just silver, so you just keep getting those, really.
Yeah. So yeah, everything started off nice. You know, see, people were very complimentary. I think I saw this one interview where this young guy said, you know, she's like a grandma to Stans. I thought, she's not a grandma, a very young grandma.
No, I'm not that old to be a grandma.
No, you're not. Definitely not. You know, I had to Google what Stans was. I had no idea what that was. So another one of those terms.
Yeah.
But then, obviously, there came a point where I guess the keyboard warriors came out.
Yeah.
And I've seen some of the things. I won't mention some of them because they're just nasty. That people did. Obviously, creating fake profiles and you're getting things in your inbox. But I think there's something that happened when you released a light-hearted vocal battle for Mariah and J-Lo.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the history, but I don't know if you've ever seen a clip on YouTube where this foreign reporter asks about J-Lo. She sort of shakes her head and goes, "I don't know her."
Yeah.
And that's basically where it started, and she's had a lot of criticism, some from other artists too, and like Demi Lovato sort of criticised her, saying she's nasty to Jennifer and all this. All she said was she didn't know her. Like, obviously people's version of not knowing somebody is different. They've met, but they just don't know each other. Yeah. So I think that's where it kind of started, and she constantly gets asked about it. And like these DJs asked her, "Would you ever do a duet with J-Lo?" She's like, "Well, I don't know how it would sound." Obviously, she's been a little bit shady there as well. But then, see, you start to get your inboxes. I mean, I know you've talked about trolling in your vlogs, and obviously you don't need to go into it because I know it has upset you a lot. Like, how do you deal with that, or how are you dealing with it? Are you sort of dealing with it? Obviously, at the beginning, it's probably a shock to get these.
Yeah, I mean, it's something, because I've been in the industry a long time. I've taught students and people that I've managed about this. I've said, look, this is going to happen. You are going to get some form of trolling and people being jealous of what you're doing and just want to get randomly involved in what you're doing. So you've got to be prepared for that. But when it hit me at such an extent, I didn't really know that it was going to be that bad. The pictures that I was getting sent via Instagram inbox and on Twitter was just astounding. The usual kind of naked stuff and self-harm stuff. There was some horrendous things that were sent, but I don't even know why. I didn't actually say anything bad about anyone. And it just went crazy for a little while, but it has got a lot better recently. I would say Twitter are not helpful. They're not helpful. They don't take it on board very much. All you can do is report and block. That's it. And when it comes to fake accounts, there's still, unfortunately, loads of fake accounts out there on Instagram and Twitter. But because Twitter are not doing verifications at the moment, I can't verify myself to prove I'm me, so I can't then complain about others that are being me, if that makes so I'm still stuck in this just endless fake profile thing that I can't do an awful lot about.
I think I've seen one that said you were a psychic. Apparently, you were a
Yeah.
psychic, and you're doing that with I don't know what that was that you were doing. Maybe it's to do with timing, and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it's
And things like
yeah.
that. That makes
This is the big one that I knew it would come back to bite me on the bum. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I have had a past of knowing things. I've been very, I wouldn't say I'm a medium or, spiritualist or anything like that. But there's been many occasions in my life when I've known things that are going to happen. Now, this is where people are going, oh my God, she's psychic, she's crazy. Anyway, for I'd say a good couple of years ago, I just wanted to investigate more about that kind of thing, paranormal and mediumship and spiritual churches and things like that. And it was only a short period of time. I literally made 2 videos with some friends of mine where we were just trying things out, and unfortunately it's blown up and gone mad. There's a whole page I found last night actually on a website with the pendulum saying, yeah, she's this and she's that and she's a failed psychic and all these things. I'm like, oh no.
Apparently that's proof that you're a fake. You're not even a vocal coach as well. Apparently,
I've been teaching voice for 17 years, and you can ask the thousands of people that I've taught and just ask them if I'm actually a vocal coach or not.
No. So,
but yeah, I knew that was going to bite me on the bum. I really did. I thought, oh, and it's not something you should have to think about as a normal person. But when you get to a certain sort of, not celebrity, because I'm not a celebrity, but when you get to a certain status, people go through all your old stuff. Yeah. They go through your old Twitter and your old Instagram and your Facebook trying to find dirt on you to make you look stupid. And it's just, wow, really? Have you got nothing better to do?
They find just something, just a little thing, and then it blows up, like to something that it's not obviously not true. It blows out of all proportion kind of thing.
Yeah.
Noticed that over the years with we grew up and it was just the newspapers. Just that you read something. Actually, I won't say the name because it's not a paper that people in my city love.
Okay.
The tabloid press. But then obviously then you have the dial-up internet and stuff like that, and then obviously cable. Then it's like building up, and I guess people think they're entitled to have an opinion on somebody, but I guess that's the age that we live in with millennials and what and whatnot. But what do you say to those trolls? Do you forgive them, or is it not a case of forgiveness? You just sort of like forget and move on. Like how do you deal with that now?
At the moment, I'm just sort of looking at it as misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Majority of the trolling that I've had has been young girls that are 15 to 17, very young, teenagers that don't really know about their own lives and their own self yet. And for entertainment, they, get a little team of them together and they just troll someone for fun. And that just seems to be how it is. So I'm trying not to take it too seriously now.
Just block and move on. Block and move on.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
Yeah, can't let it affect. I mean, I've worked in customer services. It's not the same thing, that people can be quite nasty and they scream at you, and if you let that get to you, it's just like, oh, you'd just be so sad and depressed, and you just have to kind of just develop a thick skin, I suppose, which is obviously unfortunate.
Yeah, well, I know that what I do on YouTube and in my job as a vocal coach, I do a really good job. And I'm not saying that because, I've got a big head or anything. I've done it for 17 years, so I must be doing okay at it, or I wouldn't be able to get to this point. I've been lucky enough to teach celebrities. I've been on TV shows as a vocal coach. I've, done all of these things. So I must be all right at it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're more than all right. I think you're brilliant. So I'm one of those people where if I like an artist, I'll really support and buy their stuff. If people criticize them, it doesn't matter to me. you know, I know that I like them, and you know, whatever. But I remember a week or two ago, I was having a discussion with a Britney Spears fan. I mean, I wasn't even saying anything. All I said was there are some singles that I like more than others, and some I might skip. It just depends what kind of mood I am. This person got angry, really angry. Like I was criticizing because this person had a shrine in their house.
Yeah, I did a podcast on it recently with one of my students, Liam, and he's what you would class as a stan, which is a super fan. He's, you know, obsessed with Beyonce, but not to a point like some people are, where if you say something bad about them, it's a personal attack.
I know.
And it's crazy in a way, because Liam doesn't know Beyonce. He's never met her as a person, but he looks up to her, and he, you know, it's what he wants to do with his life. He'd love to be a performer, etc. But if someone ever said, oh, well, I don't think Beyonce is very good, he wouldn't go crazy and get super angry about it. But some people do. They go to that next level of when someone, you know, something is said bad about the person that they love, they take it as a personal attack, which they don't need to do that. Everyone has their own opinion.
Yeah. I've said I'm, you know, fan of Kylie, and I've seen you you've done a few reactions on her. So you've done I think a couple of her album tracks off the disco album, and you've always been fair. I think you did give me just a little more time as well.
I did, yeah. That was a fun one. That wasn't meant to be serious, and I know that she was doing that as a special tour, where she was doing the songs she wouldn't normally sing. And you know, she didn't know the words. It's one of those songs she doesn't sing that often. It was way back when that she did it. There's lots of songs I've performed over the years, but I couldn't tell you what all the words are now. I can't remember all of them. So it was supposed to be a bit of a fun video, that one.
Yeah, I don't know your opinion on her voices. I know you kind of talked about her size, and you know, she's obviously quite small. For me, I don't know if you agree with this. When she was younger, she belted a lot more. I think she was singing from down here. But now I feel, and there's a video that I'll send to you. Maybe you know you want to look at it from a vocal point of view. She was doing a live performance of one of her singles. I think this is 91 or 92. And it was very kind of shaky. She didn't really have a lot of, I don't think she had much control back then in terms of the live vocals. But now when I hear her, I know her voice has changed a lot, but for me, I think she's kind of, I wouldn't say mastered her voice. I think she's got a lot more control with it, and she can do a lot more with it now.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. She's matured. She understands what her voice is capable of doing now. When singers are young, they experiment, they try out different things to see what their voice is capable of doing. And then once their voice starts to settle through their 30s, often 30s to 40s, they understand their voice more, and they know what's going to work better. And they don't take those big risks so much. They do what they know that they can do.
Yeah, some of her performances, especially, I think she's done Graham Norton recently, where I think she did Magic. Some of her performances now are pitch perfect, near enough.
Yeah.
But obviously there'll still be the odd, you know, dodgy one. But you know, that happens with every artist. Like Mariah Carey, you've commented on some of hers. I remember the one that stands out for me is the New Year's Eve performance when she couldn't hear anything. You know, that was just like, and I'm just like, oh no.
All
like,
performers have off days.
Yeah.
Whether incredible they are, there'll still be moments of it's just not happening that day. We're human, and you know, you might not feel too well that day. You might not be able to hear music very well. There's so many things that can go wrong, but it doesn't mean you're the worst singer in the world just because of that one moment.
Have you ever thought when you've performed, oh crap, that was wrong? Or do you just kind of move on?
I think because I spent 10 years doing weddings and pubs and clubs and all of that, I learned how to get out of it. You know, if I did make a mistake, I'd rip out of it, or I would change the line slightly so that it would still fit in some way. So you do get to a point where even when things go pear-shaped, 9 times out of 10 you can kind of solve it as best you can at the time.
Yeah. My mind just went completely blank there. Sorry.
That's all right.
What you obviously mentioned the negatives about, you know, fame. What would you say are the good things about what you do?
Oh, the community's great. It's really nice to have lots of people who like the same things as you. It's great to just have a chat about Girls Aloud, for example, or Kylie or whatever. That sense of community is brilliant. Yeah. I really like that side of things.
Yeah.
I think I like having something to focus on every day, because through lockdown it's been particularly difficult. Knowing that I need to do this video and I need to do that and I need to do that has given me a sort of sense of purpose to keep going, really.
Yeah. So I've watched Ellie's performance of the Adele song.
Oh, bless her. Yeah.
I like her. She's you, but a little bit more sassy.
She's very sassy.
I like it.
Oh, she's got way more confidence than I had at her age.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very sassy. And then some.
So I watched the whole thing, and I was, you know, see the start of the song. I thought she's got. I mean, again, I'm not an expert. I thought she had really good control. You know, throughout the song.
Yeah, I mean, she's trained by me.
Yeah,
been
exactly.
In girl bands since
trained by an expert. There you go. You know.
Yeah, I mean, we've actually got, me and Ellie, a video that we've been preparing to react to for about 5-6 months. It was going to be done in March, but then lockdown happened, so we couldn't do it. So it's Ellie's performances from her very first performance until recently. So there's a whole video of how she's developed as a singer. And, you know, I was going to react to that at some point, just to show how well she's developed from when she started. So, yeah, that'll come out eventually when we're able to actually do it.
And I've seen some of your videos as well. Titanium, like, I was like, she's brave. Because I've heard that song, because it's like, it goes up there, you know, but I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I enjoyed doing that one. I enjoyed doing the outside. It was kind of fun. It was freezing. But I just wanted to do something different instead of just sat with a microphone in front of you. I thought, I'm going to do something different. So I quite enjoyed doing that. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go in a minute because I have a student waiting for me. But I had a really nice chat.
But yeah, are they waiting for you right now? Are they?
Yes, unfortunately, yes. Yeah.
No worries. I was only going to ask. I agreed with you when you were watching the steps thing. Yeah. I noticed that the harmony at the end went a bit weird. So definitely noticed that too. But yeah, it's shame we couldn't talk for long. I literally could talk for hours. You know. Hence
well, I've loved it, but unfortunately, it's one of those things. It's my job. I've got to go and carry on teaching.
Let me just close by saying, just do what you're doing. Ignore the haters. You've made, during this time where it's a bit dark, you've helped me to smile a little bit by watching your videos. I love some of your reactions. They're absolutely hilarious. Your facial kind of reactions. But yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. There are a lot of people out there that love to support you. So thank you for coming on and chatting to me for a whole hour.
Thank you, and thanks to all the people that have been asking questions that we've not been able to answer, but I will jump on Instagram at some point and answer some of those questions. But thank you so much for talking to me. It's been lovely. I'm sure that we will catch up again soon.
Yeah. Have a good evening.
See you later.
Bye.